Welcome to another episode of the Y Podcast. I'm Sheem, joined by my brother Muhammad.
Yo.
And today, I guess we're going to talk about masculinity or just kind of differences in how we learn. Muhammad has a lot of experience in coaching and all of that, and I'd like to see his kind of opinions on that, and I'll weigh my opinions as well. So Muhammad, how do you feel? How do you feel? How do you feel right now?
I'm okay. Life just keeps churning, you know.
Yeah. It's it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine, but it will end. So that's what I'm dealing with. Huh?
Will it?
Yeah, it has to, right?
Ow. Yeah, I've been in some contentious arguments with friends lately.
Oh yeah.
Because of just because they're just Trump stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I didn't expect it because I hadn't heard anything until he actually took office.
Well, you've taken a very contentious position.
Yeah.
And you have.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know. It's hard to explain my position. It's kind of retarded.
Well, it is. I think you projected a lot of stuff on it. This isn't a politics podcast, but I think you projected a lot of stuff on him and what his quote unquote movement is. That is probably a lot more idealistic than what actually is going on.
Yeah, I'm beginning to notice that pretty quickly here.
He's the same person he's always been, and
yeah, I kind of had that realization last night just thinking about it. I was like, yeah, he's just true. He is who he is. And that's just, and the people he hires to represent him are extensions of his personality.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how to roll into this.
Well, what are you trying to discuss? Like the differences between the way men or boys and girls, men and women learn, like in an academic setting, or?
Yeah, I mean, we could do that. I mean, it's kind of a loose idea. I guess just starting out in your observations, what are the main basis of difference you've seen in coaching?
For me, we talk about this. Aaron and I have talked about this quite a bit. It's like we've had more success with girls coaching than with guys, and I think the reason being, I mean, they're all in the same group, but I think they require different types of authority figures, or at least they respond differently to different types of authority oftentimes. I think I mean, you'll butt heads with kids all the time, but I think girls are more willing to cede expertise, cede authority to a coach, at least a male coach, big black male coaches. Then I think the guys will verbally say, "Oh, okay, you got it. I understand what you're saying," and then they'll go off and do something that is of their own creation. Yeah. So they'll try and freestyle some stuff that isn't a part of the program, whereas girls are more willing to follow the regiment or the rules of what the program is. I think that's the biggest difference. It's just different. It's like the guys are, the guys want to act like they know before they actually have enough information to act like they know anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done that a lot in sports. I mean,
Yeah, that's the kind of person I was too. I always wanted to be ahead of it.
because you wanna feel like you own what you're doing. You know?
Sure.
I don't know, for me, and I don't know if it's it's an observation I made in architecture school. It's kind of along the same lines, just creatively. I mean, the women versus the guys would do their projects or ask for advice. I noticed a lot in thesis year. The guys, their projects were just more times they were just in such a weird spot where they would only know what they're talking about and just able to just dive into their own crap and just be so abstract.
Right.
Whereas the women's projects, for the most part, were very validated by others and
incremental.
Yeah, kind of see what I've done that references this thing you'll know, kind of. And I think, I mean, there's definitely a benefit to both of that in architecture. But I mean, I feel like right now there's a big push for the more representational stuff than the weird stuff, because the weird stuff takes a long time to manifest itself.
Well, sure, and the weird stuff doesn't necessarily connect with anything. So it might be weird stuff for the sake of weird.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't have any relevance to, like, yeah, at the end of the day, it doesn't end up having any relevance to anybody's life or living. It's just weird, and so it's going to take longer to find, okay, that's weird, but why? So that's the benefit of being an incrementalist in that way, is where everything you do is rooted in something else, and you're just trying to maybe push the boundaries of what already exists.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's kind of the way I look at it. The connecting point of what it seems like we're describing in both worlds is, it's like you've got this circle of knowledge, and the guys would tend to go outside of that circle, like start outside of that circle and build into it.
Yeah.
Whereas the girl kind of pushing the boundary of it from the inside.
Yeah, the guys are kind of like building the boundary itself, and the girls are, that's but it was really hard. I mean, for me, like my project probably would have required a whole nother year of refining.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucked because there was so few people to talk to about it without, I mean, because the way
you want to describe, I mean, I know you want to describe for our audience what your project is for about
our day one.
Our day one fan.
So my thesis project circled around sleep, and the bigger idea of that was what it means to live, and what it means, what a home is. Since I'm doing architecture, and I feel like the home is the foundation of architecture, so I took an exploration on what the home is. And the way I started exploring it, you're dealing with a paradigm that you have to come up with your own terms for. Like I was, well, I guess I'll get to see how I brought to sleep. I think home is the foundation of architecture, and sleep is the reason for the home. When you're not protected, you need that external protection. So that's where the home originates from in my theorem, I guess. And so to investigate sleep, I was trying to investigate kind of the metaphysical, what it means to feel safe when you're sleeping, and how how to make signals to hide you from existence when your conscious is non-existent. So you're already dealing with really wavy kind of crap.
Yeah.
And then the terms I have to use, 'cause I mean, I have to use some kind of terms to keep track of my thoughts.
Right.
And so, I mean, naturally, you know, I mean, I could either make my own language or I could borrow already English words.
Mm-hmm.
And so explaining my project to people, I'd have to like, I should have just wrote out a big glossary of my terms and then just like explained them before I had the conversations. But the hardest part of the year was just getting that connection and getting them on the same page, and then starting to talk about the project and how I can improve it and what I need to look into. And it just, you know, I would look around and these people's projects, I mean, they were quote unquote simpler and they would have people ever get feedback, but you know, and it sucked, but at the end of the day, you know, I'm obviously glad I did what I did. I didn't have enough time to finish, but
yeah, I was gonna say, did you ever feel like you finished that project? That was the whole time.
What'd you say?
Did you ever feel like you finished that project?
I have a finality to it, I think. I mean, I don't know. I mean, by the end of the year, I didn't feel like I finished it, but kind of through last year, I kind of laid all my thoughts kind of to rest. But the bigger project of what a home is and what it means to live, obviously, is not finished. But I think I've pegged down enough.
Because you're not living in a tent or a hammock yet, you haven't gotten rid of the four walls of your house. That's when we'll know you're truly done.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much the manifestation of my project is the fact that I sleep on a raised bed. That was the result of it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's kind of the same idea as we're talking about. So you took this like out there thing of, you know, this world of, you know, pods, and I mean your project was wasn't based in the world we live in.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, it finally makes like some connection, some relevant connection to your life. That's like so at the end of the day, it's still just an incremental push, but there's so much behind it that that like just saying, oh yeah, so I raised my bed a few feet off the floor. Exactly. After a year and a half of study.
Yeah, that's how it works. Yeah, that's funny. So do you think, so kind of what spurred this conversation was us talking about what are we lacking, are kids lacking kind of another way of learning, you know, because it can be said that the way we learn in school, I mean, as far as extracurriculars, it's kind of an even playing field, but in school, it can be argued that it's a more feminine type way to learn. And you can see, I mean, women do way better in college than men. Yeah. I mean, like academically, and even going to college, you know.
Yeah, I've always felt like schools constrain of a certain energy that boys have, that need. I mean, you have to have it in a school that is, I mean, not just co-ed, but it's, you know, is you're bringing, at least in a classroom at best, you know, 25 kids in a classroom, and you need order to be able to convey information. Mm-hmm. And so like our regiment of, oh, well, I need to give you this information so that you can, you know, have this knowledge to pass this test. But I don't think, you know, in your typical public school setting is, I think it leans towards a more feminine, more softer energy. Whereas, I talked to Aaron again. Aaron went to a really good private high school, and the way he talks about it is like they would sit in like round tables and these classroom discussion times, and it was a lot less about like specific knowledge of subject as it was, critical thinking about, how you get to answers. That I think in general, it's probably cliche, but that's what's missing in our standard school setting. But that learning how to learn stuff.
Yeah.
And so like that background to me is more important and is probably more, I don't know if it's necessarily a masculine feminine thing or more, authoritarian to subversive or submissive being the students thing, but there's a balance that's missing of this different kind of energy as far as, the exploratory, just looking around. I remember when I was like in science classes, we'd have like if we had a lab or something, the lab always handheld you to the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so it's like, oh, we're trying to get this, chemical to be pink at the end of it so that it can be a base. I don't know what I'm talking about, but we would always like just keep, the whole time, the end goal was just to get that thing to be a base. We didn't really know why we were doing it or what we were really proving. That's just what the lab was about. Rather than, I guess you can't have kids just kind of exploring with chemicals and stuff, but my inclination was always like, oh, I want to see what this does. And then like, maybe when it does it, I can figure out why, like, oh, that's cool. Let me find out why that happened. And so it's less explored. Like, I don't know, for me, it's the way we go about that stuff is backwards a lot of times in schools. And, for whatever logistical reasons that it is that way, I think that's what's missing is that exploratory function that I think is important for people.
Yeah. That was kind of the first year of architecture was kind of the counter to that. Like they worked tirelessly to get us away from the results game. And I remember it being so strange to like the professors would award people, or they would show praise on people that just kept asking more questions instead of like, here, I have the solution, you put the stairway here and the opening's here. Instead, people would just ask, what is a stairway? And the professor would just be like, yes, you know. And it just took so long for me and a lot of other people to catch on. So what are we even doing here? Because on the surface, the first year of architecture school at Virginia Tech is just arts and crafts, cutting paper and gluing and playing with colors, and it's just like, what the crap am I doing?
Right.
But if you allow yourself to just let it be, go all the way in, then you come out the other side like me and be weird.
on this journey of South and world existential discovery, it sounds like that's either what it forces. Did you find that there were people, by the end, maybe you got to your third, fourth, fifth years, and people were stuck in that real world paradigm? Like, does everybody come out of architecture school weird?
No.
Or
there's like a division around fourth year where people just like, I'm just going to stay normal. I'm going to learn these computer programs. I know that'll get me a job. I know these architecture firms, and I know I'm set career-wise.
Yeah.
And you can see their project's creativity just kind of dip. Mm-hmm. And the other ones are just like F jobs and capitalism. And, they just start painting,
Yeah.
So it's an interesting fork. But yeah, the interesting thing is, just a side note, I told myself coming into this year, this is the year I'm going to turn weird into good as far as what I'm trying to achieve. So, maybe it won't happen, but that's kind of like what you were saying, coming towards the bubble,
Mm-hmm.
It seems like when people come to my house and see all this crap that I have around, they're like, okay, Hasheem, what is this? Why do you have this here? It's like, eventually it's all going to look good enough to make sense. And it's, it's a lot I'm trying to pack into one kind of move.
Right.
And it's hard to explain it without like sitting down and talking for 2 hours. Like sometimes I wish I had like Wes's ability to just talk.
To go.
Yeah, just explain every little detail and just be able to tell the story so well.
Yeah. Well, it's an inclination that he had. He's like, he can't not keep that stuff. Like he can't hold on to that stuff.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know if he would see it as a gift so much as a burden.
Yeah. He apologizes for it all the time.
I can't not share what I'm thinking about with you or what I'm trying to be with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, I think as far as education, we're harkening back to education. I think about that because I worked in education for a year, but because I did, but it wasn't. It obviously wasn't like in real school, not in real schools. They would hate if I said that, but like not in these brick and mortar settings. It was very alternative, very different school settings. The kids in because they're virtual schools, or they're everything that they're doing. So 90% of what they're doing is online, and so like the logistical makeup of the way that worked was just different. It starts different. The kids are so much on their own. Parental involvement is hugely important. The way the teachers have to teach and communicate with the students is different.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all of that stuff can work, but I think there's an opportunity there. And I always thought that I was like, there's an opportunity to kind of get weird with this stuff. And maybe you can't because state regulations and things like that. You just have the school off the wall, and you can't really have that. But I always thought there was an opportunity there to maybe take it to a different place. And I don't know that place. I'm necessarily not an educator, but it didn't get weird enough for me. It was still like, to me it looked like the same. Those computer games we had growing up that were like Tahira would play they're educational, they're fun, and you're pointing things at things, and I don't know. It just felt so. It was good programs, but it was just so simplistic or straightforward to me.
Yeah.
Where I was like, this is the internet. It has everything. Like you have a portal to everything.
Mm-hmm.
Let's explore a little bit. Maybe they did. Maybe I didn't get deep enough into the academics of it, but I have a hard time believing that they did, just because there's so much testing and this and that has to go on before you can be elective. I think as a teacher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember. Kind of a side note. You remember Shenmue?
yeah, the Dreamcast game.
The idea that you could just, you
were unrestrained. What's funny about that? I mean, you're unrestrained in real life, right?
Yeah.
And so you go into this video game, it's an older game, and I'm sure it feels really constrained now. I'm not deep into them. I'm still playing. The game I play right now is NCAA 2012 or 11 or something like that. So my video game updating hasn't happened in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure that stuff is just out of control, off the hook now. But the idea that we were all, or you'd be excited about being unrestrained in this portal,
mm-hmm.
that you kind of already are living in this unrestrained portal, but you have to filter your abandon in this virtual world rather than going a little crazy in your own world.
Yeah, I never thought about it like that.
So maybe this is just because there's cooler stuff that you can do in a video game, or the lack of consequences, mitigating regrets and risk.
Yeah, it's probably a big part of it. Forgetting the question I was going to ask you. It's kind of a different question.
Okay. Not along the same lines.
It kind of was. It kind of related. I think it related to education or something. Oh yeah. It related to education, but it wasn't really much gendered.
Okay.
What do you think education would look like in automated society?
That's a good question. It has to be very, very different, right? Well, it depends on what the like economic structure of that society is. Are we living in this utopia that we talked about before, where everybody's like basic needs are done and work is over?
Mm-hmm.
So, like in that society, I think we go way for like we'd get away from the hard sciences, but like you wouldn't need to really know that 2 + 2 = 4
Mm-hmm.
on a maybe you need to know that, but like on a higher level than that. But you would start getting into the softer appreciation of the arts and humanities and all that stuff. I think that I mean, you probably disagree with me here, but I think that stuff is going to flourish just because you have more people in it. And the freedom to bounce ideas off without being, I don't know, the idea of education that we have now is education is a portal to a career so that you can be stable in life. And so if you take that leg away from it, and you can be stable in life without education, I think that allows people the freedom to go a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
With what they want to learn, and just, I mean, you're going to have a lot of bull probably, but that, I think that, people talking bull crap is, I think, a part of, and I say that, like, people just philosophizing and having theories for nothing, which is a lot of what we do. Is a lot of that, I think, is a part of just trying to orbit around and understand our own existence and truth on a less physical level. And so I think we'd get closer to that because people would be able to deal with their own existence a lot more.
Yeah, really.
Rather than trying to trudge through. And so, you just be searching, maybe just be searching for beauty and understanding in the world. Not that would be the end result, but that would kind of be what you would study. You'd probably have a major in, metaphysical beauty or some such nonsense. And it would just be like, that's what I think about. That's what I'm interested in. So that's what I'm trying to learn the most about. There'd be a lot of self-directed study and things like that. I have to imagine, because you just wouldn't need to know the basic factory machinery, mechanics of things quite so much. That to me is probably, in that society, is the grunt work, is the programming of those things. The actual programming of those things would be like, blue collar work, whereas the coming up with these fantastical ideas would be kind of that's just what the general population does.
That'd be pretty cool. You have prisoners coding. Everybody else just free to.
Yeah. People are like, that's kind of exactly what I'm thinking. It's like, oh, here's this thing. Here's my thesis. Translate that into code, and that person is just grunting that out, and that because that to me has to be the less creative part when you're getting into that soft world.
Yeah. That's interesting. I think I moved a little for some reason on my stances on what would happen to art. I mean, the basis for my concern is kind of the Buddhist thought of that life is struggle. And I feel like struggle is the thing that makes the emotions, that makes the happiness or the sadness or the, you know, I feel like possibly without that worry, without the stress, everything would just be gray, you know, and there wouldn't be a need for creating for the world more. There would just be an observation and a what's the word, like a feasting in it instead of giving anything back.
Yeah,
you wouldn't need to.
Well, I think, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think early on that's probably what it would be, but I think what we probably find is, you know, when basic needs are met and people still aren't happy, now you have that becomes the next struggle. Is, you know, you look at like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, so all those things are knocked out, all your needs are met, and your happiness quotient is still, you know, what it is. It's still, you know, I don't think that anyone, maybe they do, but I don't know that people's like overall happiness like just evens out. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think you're going to, you know, get into that thing, you're satisfied, and then like stuff doesn't fulfill.
Yeah.
And there's other things, there's the, you know, other connections and things that create inner fulfillment that people are going to have to start navigating, because that pursuit of happiness or pursuit of, you know, a happy life through outside means becomes fruitless. Then you know it's fruitless. So I think that's where I come from with that. Is like, right now, the state that we're in is we think that we have to go on this journey that includes a materialistic access. Yeah, and so you spend all that, and so we go on that journey, and it helps. But if you kind of have this stasis of, okay, well, I have all the things, all the basic things that I could want, now what?
Yeah.
And that is going to require that inward look. It's like, okay, now I can get started on myself, not for any outside capital means, but just for, let's get this, or whatever I am, whatever my existence is, let me get that right.
Yeah, I think there's merit to that, because I don't know if, like, there's a couple of kids in my architecture class and I was reading a book by somebody, and it's like their parents do like construction, or, you know, just like a real concrete job.
Yeah.
And then when they grow up with that foundation, with all those needs met, then they're able to do architecture or art, or, you know, so I think that would do another iteration of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's, yeah, and I think about something kind of along those lines is like, you know, the you read stories about, you know, so and so is the first in their family to go to college or something, or, you know, you rise up from poverty and you become this. It's like, how long does that rise up, or that, you know, that satisfaction from the rise up, how long does that hold you?
Yeah.
Like, you know, okay, well, I rose up, now what? Everybody told me that was the key, now what? And like, that's not it. I mean, maybe for some people it is. For me, I don't know, maybe that's, it's just, maybe that's what I'm more dealing with.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, that's not it, that's not the key. Like, okay, well, let me pursue some other thing. Oh, that's not the key. And I think the more these things are met, or the shorter that initial physical journey is, the quicker you can start to, you know, strip away your own personal layers and own personal like residue and stuff, and, you know, try and find whatever fulfillment there is in the world.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. I think there's a lot there's a lot to that. Because kind of the same with me, you know, last year getting a real job, I was kind of surprised how easy it was to get one.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, growing up in our environment, you're like, there must be something just really tough about.
Yeah.
And there is, honestly,
Of course there is.
back,
Yeah.
but I thought it was just like people just beating you down, and only a select few have decent jobs. You know, I still kind of get surprised, you know, going to these people's houses, doing my work. Like people, there's a lot of people that have a lot of money.
Mhm.
They just are okay.
Mhm.
And I don't know. That's just kind of my personal
No,
awareness
I
that
hear
I
you.
can't.
And yeah, I think that's part of growing up the way we grew up. It's like being okay isn't that fantastical, and like average is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Like the you know your single family home typical life is like, as far as needs being met. I don't know about all the other stuff. Like, as far as like needs being met, and it's like, oh, it's pretty smooth existence.
Yeah.
But now you have to like deal. So if you get there though, now you have to deal with that, because a lot of times those people aren't better off
Mm-hmm.
inside.
There's that other better that you
Yeah,
don't see. You know, that's what sucks.
yeah. It's a hard thing to navigate.
Yeah. That's why I'm gonna move to the woods.
I hear you.
Man, I just want to build a one room shack and just make clothes.
Yeah, yeah. But and until you find out that's not it.
Yeah, see, I mean, it is kind of, you know, I was um I was working on my shoes yesterday, and I was kind of like mini panicking because I wasn't having like it wasn't working. I was
Mhm.
like, okay, if I can't do this, what the crap am I gonna do? You know, this is the best idea I have right now. You have to work. So I mean, I don't know. It's so surprising to me how emotional I get about this crap. Because you know, everything else in my everyday life is just kind of like okay,
Yeah,
but so much of my personal self-worth is on the line when I do it that I just have to like sit there and calm myself down for like 30 minutes saying it's not that bad. What you wanted to do is okay. This is only your seventh shoe you're making.
yeah,
And, you know, just calm down, think about the process, be part of the process, and, you know, stop thinking about end results so much. But
yeah. Well,
I
it
don't know.
harkens
I already
back
said
to
that on
your
yes. So,
harkens you back to your architecture year one.
yeah, it does. I mean,
Not
it's,
results. You become process oriented. I mean, I think that's with anything, right? Is you become process oriented, really try and get your hands and not get ahead of yourself as far as what you're doing.
mm,
Just do and work to the best of your ability at where you are, and keep trying to push how good you are. Then, I mean, that's, I guess, is the key to success and doing things well.
yeah, I mean, it's just so hard to keep there, though. You know how many times I've told myself I'm gonna just cut myself off from the internet. I tell myself that all the time,
Yeah.
just to force myself to focus in and just, I don't know. But yeah, it's a lesson I haven't really learned to get yet.
I think it's a lesson you have to keep relearning.
Yeah, it does rehash itself in like every manifestation.
Yeah.
All right. Got anything else?
I don't know. I guess not. I made an apple pie the other day.
Nice.
That was a frustrating pie.
What was it?
Well, I don't know why this has anything to do with anything, but your struggles with your shoes like made me think about like how much trouble I had with the dough this time around. As I
Yeah.
tried to usually I make a butter, a mix of, you know, the crust with like just a mix of butter and flour and just a little bit of sugar and stuff. But this time I tried to mix shortening in with
Mhm.
it, and the consistency was all off, and it was super messy, and just the consistency wasn't right, and I knew it wasn't right. And it was frustrating me. And the pie ended up tasting actually really good, but the process to get there was just, oh my God, I wanted to quit.
Yeah.
But it was a really good pie. So hopefully the next one, I don't know if I'm going to do the shortening thing again, or I'll have to read up on some
What would
other.
the shortening have done?
It just provides a different. I think I don't know anything, but I think it's supposed to provide a different kind of crust. Like, I mean, the crust tasted. It was more like it's less doughy, it didn't stick together quite as well. It was more crumbly, like you bite down into it and it breaks apart into its own little, like a graham, like the graham cracker, like pre-bought crusts that you buy. Whereas the butter one was more of a contiguous dough when you bite down on it. So I don't know if that's what it was supposed to do, but that's what it did after baking. But that was a frustrating thing. So I guess the people can get some more pie updates as we go. I don't think I'm making any pies this week, though. Maybe next week.
All right. Do you mainly do apple, or you bounce around?
No, that was my first apple. I had been doing cherry because I like cherry pies and I wanted to perfect that. And so I made a really good cherry pie last time, and then so now I'm working on apple. I might do another apple and try that one again because the flavor was good, but I didn't like the way I didn't think I did a good job with the process.
Okay. Well, I think that about does it for our mistitled episode about masculinity.
That ended with me talking about baking pies.
It's okay. It doesn't matter.
So masculine.
Me sewing.
Clearly, the system failed us.
Hey, man, it's 2017.
That's true.
But all right, this is a live podcast, and we'll see you later.